My name is Shannon Hematian. I am a Wonder Woman in tech. And I have a secret. But before I tell you my secret, I'd like to share a story with you. When I was 15 years old, my mother brought me to this country, and to my surprise, 3 months later, she went back to Iran. As a teenager, being plucked out of your familiar environment and dropped into a new country with a new language, with new social beliefs, for most people is a traumatic experience. For me, this meant opportunity. I didn't have a conventional childhood. My mother married 4 times. My father married 4 times, not to each other. And between them, they had 12 children. Yet, I grew up as a single child. When I was 15, the most incredible thing happened to me. I was granted an American visa. Now, most people may not realize that is incredible for someone from Iran in the middle of a war between Iran and Iraq and all the political thing that was going on at that era, and a 15-year-old getting access to this country. It was incredible. Out of 100 people that day who applied for a visa, myself and 1 other individual got a visa. So I knew I was so lucky. I have not taken that moment and that opportunity for granted ever since. The voice inside me that said, you must do everything in your power to change your life, this is the moment. I knew that hope presented itself. All came together as a fuel that I needed to ignite. I charged toward this new journey, and I knew I had to make this country my home. Failure was not an option for me. You see, an interesting thing happens when you take the option of failure off the table. Deciding what to do and what university to apply to and what I really wanted to study was challenging, but deciding what I wanted to study wasn't that difficult for me. The biggest challenge for me was getting access to a very good university that would allow me to excel in life. As a kid, Atari was my best friend. And I loved taking things apart. I loved taking things apart so much that I would go through household objects. If I had a screwdriver, I would take them apart. For example, my mother's brand new Sony VCR. She was not happy. So I fast forward to when I was 19, and with help of some incredible women counselors at my high school, I was on my way to UCI as a computer science major. It was difficult for me to find a job because I was a full-time student and I couldn't find the right job at night that would pay for my school. It led me to an idea. I thought, okay, maybe I can start my own hardware and software company, and I can host websites, and I can manage that at night, and that will become a source of revenue. Without really knowing what that all meant, I was entering into the world of entrepreneurship. Before starting a business, every entrepreneur is faced with 2 main options. One, is my business viable? Second, why would anyone pay me? The first question, why is my business viable? It is a practical question. Would anyone want my services or products that I'm selling. So I knew, based on the amount of free referrals I was getting from my friends and family and the services they were acquiring from me, I had enough demand. But the second question, would anyone pay me, is an emotional question. It requires an internal investigation into one's self-worth. What is self-worth? Is the seed that everything originates from. It is absolutely crucial to distinguish between self-worth and self-esteem. They are not the same. The esteem in self-esteem comes from a source outside of one's self. It is a form of recognition of our performance by others. Self-worth, however, is an internal measurement of the belief in one's self. It is a portal through which the self-esteem is received. When it comes to entrepreneurship, it is the positive belief in the self, your self-worth, that allows you to enter the world and achieve esteem. So we need hope to ignite, and we need self-worth to embark. But to reach one's potential, that is not enough. One must also be fearless. The state of fearlessness, as it is described in the dictionary, lack of fear, is not realistic. To be fearless means to not react or give in. By virtue of being human, we all experience fear. So on a daily basis, in our professional and personal lives, we face choices. Some insignificant and some quite complex. And of all the choices we face, the simple act of asking is often the most difficult thing we face. But in order to get to what we want, we must ask. If you don't ask, you don't get the girl. If you don't ask, you just don't get. So by the time I was 29, I had sold my first business. I'd lived through 9/11 in New York. I'd worked for 2 prestigious agencies to advance my business and taxation knowledge, and was ready to embark on my second enterprise. Because of my unique IT and financial background, I was able to recognize a void in the market and started an agency, an efficient agency called Project Untangle. 2 weeks after I started this business, I had an opportunity to pitch my company to a very prestigious museum. So to put my situation in perspective for you, at the time of this pitch, I had already quit my job. I had no other clients and no other source of income. So I needed this contract, and the stakes were high. I met with my client and presented a proposal. What did he say? Are you crazy? I don't have this kind of budget. And I have 2 other proposals that are 1/3 of your proposal. I can't pay you this. So this situation is the most dreaded moment in any entrepreneur's life, or anyone who's negotiating a compensation. Fear of rejection, fear of looking silly, fear of someone invalidating your self-worth are the reasons why we often don't ask. So at this moment, I had 3 options. One was to give in to my fear of losing this contract and settling for the smaller amount. I really needed the money, so I should have really thought about accepting this offer. But I knew that if I did that, I would perhaps compromise the quality of the project and possibly my reputation. The second option was to give up the job, was to walk away and not even question the validity of the other 2 contracts. The third option was to make my case again and perhaps offer a reasonable compromise. So instead of panicking, giving in, and giving up, I chose to see his no as an opportunity to convince him otherwise. I recited my unique background and accomplishments again, and explained to him that the solution that I was offering was fundamentally different than the other 2. My solutions were long-term, would grow with his business, and eventually save him more money. Was I nervous? Was I worried about not getting the job? Of course I was. But I wasn't going to compromise the integrity of my work and my self-worth. I left my client knowing that I really fought a good fight. I'd like to play you a clip.
I want to ask you a question straight out, flat out, and I want you to give me the honest answer. What do you think the chances are of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together?
Well, Lloyd, that's difficult to say. We really don't...
Hit me with it. Just give it to me straight. I came a long way just to see you married. Just, least you can do is level with me. What are my chances?
Not good.
You mean not good like 1 out of 100?
I'd say more like 1 out of 1,000,000.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Don't you love his confidence? 1 out of 100, really? I am not afraid of being this guy. So I barely made it home from my meeting, and I received a phone call from my client. Now, any salesperson will tell you that when your client starts asking you questions, you've got their attention. It's a good sign. So I had his attention. Over the course of the 2 days, he called multiple times and had more specific questions. On the 3rd day, he called me and said, come and pick up your deposit for the full proposed amount. So it pays to be this optimistic. When you don't ask for what you want, you're saying no to yourself. Asking is perhaps the most fearless action you can take. When you have hope, optimism, or whatever it is you want to call it, when you have explored and established your self-worth and found strength to take fearless actions, you will arrive at a bliss state of being authentic. In 2007, I met a brilliant and well-respected industrial designer. He was head of design portfolio for Nokia during Nokia's golden years. And he had multiple patents and multiple awards to his name, but yet he was extremely unhappy at his job, even though he loved to design. The beautiful thing about living an authentic life is that you start noticing other people's potential, even when they can't see it themselves. Authenticity doesn't just empower you. It empowers others around you. I saw tremendous potential in this man. And in 2008, in the middle of the worst recession, I convinced him to leave his high-powered, high-paying job to start his own agency. We co-founded Pip Tompkins Studio. These words, assume nothing and question everything, are the founding principles of our company. These words are written on a wall inside our studio. We value diversity and unique voices. Everyone in my team has graduated top of his or her class, must speak a second language, has studied or lived in another country, and is not afraid of asking questions. In the past 8 years, our firm has designed numerous recognizable award-winning products for some of the largest companies around the world. And these are some of our friends who invest in us to ask questions. Having hope and excitement about the future, tapping into your self-worth, making fearless actions, and living authentically is not easy. Your resolve to hold on to these attributes is challenged every day. These attributes individually can give you positive results, perhaps in small increments. However, their power lies in disciplined, sustained practice, despite whatever hardship you're facing. That commitment requires endurance. Having endurance means no matter how dire your situation, it does not define you, nor will it define your outcome. Without endurance, we cannot innovate. We cannot pioneer. We cannot reach our personal potential. We live in unusual and exciting times. In the past 200 years, we have put machines and people on surfaces other than Earth. And we continue to explore the unknown. We have invented technologies that will fit inside our pockets, that connects us to each other, allows us to automate the most mundane tasks of our lives for important things, and build meaningful relationships despite the thousands of miles that separate us. We can now travel to exotic places and experience virtual spaces without ever leaving our living rooms. We've made these possibilities into reality because of our imagination and our ability to be inspired. powerful words are the guiding principle of Wonder Woman Tech. They carry tremendous weight, not only at this conference, but in the world we live in. To advance our society and continually push beyond our limitations, we need men and women who are committed to a lifestyle that allows for pioneering, allows for innovating, empowering, and igniting that fire that lives in all of us. As you go through this conference, you will meet and hear from speakers whose curiosity and ability to question the status quo is at the core of their accomplishments. You will learn about their journeys, and I hope you will be inspired. And like these speakers, you may too have enough hope to ignite your passion, enough self-worth to embark on your journey, enough fearlessness to pioneer beyond your comfort zone, enough authenticity to empower others around you, and enough endurance to innovate. I mentioned to you earlier that I had a secret, and I have observed this secret in the powerful men and women who continue to inspire me and are every day changing our world for better. What is my secret? My secret is simply a 3-letter word. My secret is simply to ask. Thank you.